All right, big scoop. A US Secret Service agent staying true to his secretive nature, that is, preferring to stay anonymous, has shared some information with DC Weekly about plans that's going to make every American pretty darn glum. Zelensky will now watch baseball, eat hot dogs, and apple pie. In short, Zelensky will become an American. Funny, right? But according to this agent, the Grandpa Joe administration has already given orders to make sure President Zelensky and his family are safe and have a place to stay starting in spring 2024. And welcome to the Atul Mishra Show, part podcast, part sermon, part wishful thinking. Come on, do not judge me. I am a mere mortal, not an immortal like Henry Kissinger. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, teaser. Okay, the reason behind this decision is the thought that President Zelensky might finish his term as president of Ukraine next year. Finish my foot. That is a very nice way of saying Ukrainian people will beat the shit out of him in the next election and send him packing. Staying in Ukraine after his presidency ends is seen as dangerous for him. And why not? The pint-sized rascal did photo ops as poor Ukrainian soldiers forced to give up their lives. The Secret Service agent upped the ante with an audio message that is posted on YouTube. Now, Grandpa Joe has literally jolted the otherwise sleepy American bureaucracy from their eternal slumber, as the operation to relocate President Zelensky involves several different groups. These include teams that look after the safety of foreign leaders, those responsible for the president's security, and even the citizenship and naturalization services within the Department of Homeland Security. Funny how the American president, who never touched the bureaucracy when Americans were losing jobs and America was losing face globally, is now in a state of overdrive. Priorities. Joe has a special package for Zelensky. He is set to receive both the privileges typically given to a foreign politician and the status of an American citizen. That has literally never happened in the history of the United States. Shameful. Any guesses how much money is going to be spent in this saving President Zelensky plan? Let me decode that for you. President Zelensky, along with his wife and two children, is expected to move to Florida. They will live in a luxurious estate in Vero Beach, located by the Atlantic Ocean, which is worth about $20 million. How much is your house worth? Not $20 million? What? Not even 2 mils? Half a mil? Not even that? That's sad. This arrangement means American taxpayers will be paying for President Zelensky's housing, security, transportation, home, and personal assistance. But that's not all. The cost of Zelensky's stay in the US is estimated to be at least $20 million per year. This non performing asset will charge 20 mils for just staying in the US. So, where exactly is the process currently? As per the agent, the Zelensky family's certificates of naturalization have already been issued. What did you say? This is an unusual situation. I hear you. You say the process of granting citizenship typically involves a more prolonged and detailed procedure. You're right. But those are for regular mortals, not for celebrated war heroes who attend Cannes Film Festival and grace Time magazine covers. According to the agent, the date set for Zelensky's citizenship application and interview was September 20. Interestingly, this was the same day President Zelensky delivered a speech at the NATO summit during his visit to the United States. This coincidence, as per him, was a carefully planned and coordinated effort to facilitate Zelensky's transition to living in the US. The funny thing is, why Zelensky, after being lionized as a strong and brave leader, a portrayal that is widely supported by mainstream media, being pushed to the US. This behind the scenes plan seems at odds with that image. This was the news. Now I come to my take, which I'm sure you were waiting for. Assuming the information about Zelensky's planned relocation to the United States is accurate and not misinformation, it raises several questions about the reasons behind such a decision. It's important to explore why staying in Ukraine might be unsafe for Zelensky. And no, Putin never, ever, ever wanted to kill this useful idiot. Otherwise, he might have choked on his tea long, long back. The first reason is his loss of face. Zelensky was initially well received, very popular, I must say. But now his image is fading faster than Hillary Clinton's did in 2016. The decline in his popularity is higher than that of Trudeau's. Additionally, Zelensky had more fun than Bill Clinton had while in office with some creatures lurking under his desk. Zelensky's idea of fun was different. You see, he loved firing people. He dismissed virtually every close aide and confidant of his. The moment they began to pose problems or became potential whistleblowers, Zelensky became a watered down version of Kim Jong un, throwing them under the bus, figuratively, as against Kim's, of course, literal inaction of the phrase, or was it tank? Well, that's him material. Moreover, there have been instances where Ukrainian oligarchs have dropped dead like fish after the BP oil spill. Our pint sized dictator has been a bad boy, and bad boys often make bad enemies during their tenures. While he remains in power as Prime Minister of Ukraine, he enjoys a certain level of protection, that's for sure. However, there is a looming risk that once he's out of power, he is basically target practice. This perceived danger to his safety post presidency might be one of the reasons behind the plan for his relocation to the United States. But this is not out of the goodness of Grandpa Joe's heart, as you will come to understand later. If a new government, or rather, when a new government comes to power in Ukraine, Zelensky will face significant scrutiny and questioning. One of the critical questions he will be pounded with is why he did not agree to a ceasefire when Putin was smiling benevolently. Additionally, he may be questioned about why he consistently aligned with Grandpa Joe's policies, even at the cost of Ukrainian lives. Now, let us come to the real reason. Grandpa Joe and Zelensky are in an open marriage. That means they are free to fuck around occasionally, but eventually they return to each other. The relationship between Zelensky and Grandpa Joe goes beyond mere political connections. A notable aspect of this is Hunter Laptop Biden, Grandpa Joe's son, who had several business dealings in Ukraine when Grandpa Joe was a VP. These dealings gained significant attention, especially after the New York Post published an article about them, which became a topic of controversy during the 2020 US presidential election when Twitter restricted its distribution. Given these connections and the potential issues, Zelensky's continued presence in Ukraine, especially if he is no longer in power, could become problematic for both. From this perspective, relocating Zelensky to the United States might seem like a smart strategic move to mitigate potential complications. It could be seen as a way to remove a potential source of controversy and difficulty for Grandpa Joe, who plans to live forever. Henry Kissinger also did. But then the choice of the United States as a destination for President Volodymyr Zelensky in the event of his leaving Ukraine raises the question of why this location is preferred, especially given the potential for congressional hearings that could probe his dealings and alleged crimes. This concern is particularly relevant considering the possibility of a Trump government in 2024, which might be more inclined to scrutinize Zelensky's actions. Come on, Grandpa is old and wasted, but evil parts of his brains still function as new. The answer to this question lies in understanding certain rules and norms regarding the status of exiled heads of state. Here are some facts. Number one, when a head of state or government leaves the country, their status changes significantly, but they, in some special conditions, retain the diplomatic immunity associated with their former position. Special conditions. Interesting. Number two, if the individual is recognized by the United States of America or a significant part of the international community, they might keep some form of official status, possibly including all diplomatic privileges recognized. Interesting. Number three, exile leaders who seek asylum in the US are entitled to certain protections under US and international law. Number four, in some instances, the US government might negotiate special arrangements or agreements with the individual, which could encompass various protections, special arrangements. Do you hear that? Interesting. Given these rules, it becomes amply clear that if Grandpa Joe chooses, he could grant President Zelensky every possible privilege, allow him to deflect, divert, or simply avoid answering questions during congressional hearings, regardless of the government in power. Smart move, Grandpa Joe. This perspective also sheds light on why Grandpa Joe is willing to make such extensive and, might I say, luxurious arrangements for Zelensky. That suggests a strategy not just for Zelensky's safety and well being, but also for safeguarding sensitive information regarding his own shady self. Now, let me conclude the entire thing. First off, the entire narrative about Zelensky's potential relocation to the United States of America and the implications thereof hinge on the testimony of a single anonymous Secret Service agent. The credibility of this information is paramount in determining the truth of the situation. If what this agent has revealed is indeed accurate and true and not a fake news, it would validate the detailed analysis and implications that I just discussed. However, if the agent's claims are unfounded or incorrect, simply fake news, then the entire scenario would be cast in a different light. Ultimately, the truth or falsity of these claims is a matter that time and further evidence may clarify. Until then, it remains a subject of speculation and analysis, inviting each person to consider the evidence and be the judge of its veracity. But there's one thing for sure. If the US indeed hosts the number one enemy of Vladimir Putin, he is not going to like that. And when Putin gets angry, teacups rattle and tea magically gets laced with Novichok. Zelensky will need a food tester for the rest of his life. Did you like the episode? If you did, please hit the like button. If you have any suggestions, inputs, or just plain love, let it show in the comment section. If you think others should know about it too, share it over every single platform on the internet. And if you really, really, really liked it, hit the subscribe button. This is me, Atul Mishra, signing off. Take care. I love you all.